All right, so what's going on, everybody? Last night I tried to do a response to a video that I found by Neil deGrasse Tyson, in which he was responding to intelligent design. He was offering his criticisms towards the argument of intelligent design. And as I listened to this video, I noticed he didn't even touch the intelligent design argument. And this is one-sided, secular, minded people. I think that Tyson's genuinely interested in science, and he's a respectful guy. But it's very clear that he is not at all, in any way, shape, or form, attacking the intelligent design argument. For those that don't know, the intelligent design argument specifically is trying to point out that certain patterns in nature are best explained by an intelligent cause, because those patterns that we're seeing inside of nature, based on our uniform experience, we have an understanding that those causes, those patterns have a cause that is known, which would be intelligence. I mean, when we see motors or codes, we know for a fact that those patterns, when we trace it back to a root source, it's always been intelligence that has been behind those, cause and effect. You can sit over here all day long and say defects in design or bad design, but that's not refuting the intelligent design argument, right? I mean, my car, we've got 2 or 3 different cars, and one of my cars from Sweden, it's a Volvo. And the battery's, for some reason, put in the trunk, and it's electrical powered. And when the battery's dead, it's very difficult to get in there to charge the car, right? You got to crawl through the back of the seat in order to charge it that way. Bad design. It's a stupid way of trying to build a car, but that obviously doesn't mean not designed, because we know the Volvo has been built from intelligent agents. So if we're finding motors and turbines and codes and other machinery inside of the cell in which their patterns are the exact same, I mean, they are codes, they are turbines, they are these machines. What will be important here is cause and effect.
Such as God.
And that's pretty much what it comes down to. Richard Dawkins, he like you just heard him right now, but he accepts intelligent design pretty much. Okay, he thinks that it's a plausible explanation. It's a good explanation. He's open to it. But look at it from this perspective. It's like this: we can reason within the confines of the universe, right? I mean, we can, to the best of our ability, understand that time, space, matter, and energy came into existence or converge at a certain spot in the universe. And it may be true that if we go to Stephen Hawking's and Roger Penrose's calculations, that the universe had a beginning. It began to exist. We don't know how it got here. We don't know if it was cyclic hyperotic theory, string theory, M theory, or any of these other ideas that try to account for how the universe came to be. The issue here is that, we can look at the patterns inside of nature and understand and reason that based on the patterns that we're seeing inside of nature, an intelligence was behind it. But understanding who the identity was, or the personal characteristics of that designer, just by observing its fingerprints, so to speak, I mean, that's irrelevant. I mean, that's a secondary topic that could be gone into. So the point here is that when Richard Dawkins might not want to accept it and admit to it, but Richard Dawkins accepts intelligent design. But here's that video that I wanted to show you guys. I'm going to screen share this for you, so hopefully you guys can see it. So I'm going to go to the comments right now and see what you guys got to say about what's been said so far. I suspect that when I look at the comments right now, there's going to be a lot of trolls. These discussions that we're going to be having on Thursdays, I do not want anything mentioned regarding science in those discussions. If you guys want to talk about anything regarding science, save it till Sundays at 7. And the reason why is because we talk too much about science, intelligent design, evolution, and all that other stuff, and I think it's good to separate the topics. That way we narrow down some of the disagreements that people have. Okay, so Christopher is basically trying to debate in the comment section. He says we have only seen turbines come from intelligence, so ATP synthase is probably from an intelligence. We have only seen intelligence come from physical bodies. So I mean, again, that statement right there is adding an additional question or premise of the argument of intelligent design. Intelligent design doesn't say, well, there is or is not a disembodied body, a disembodied mind involved. We would grant that there would need to be a physical medium or physical body or interaction, but the point here is that without the mind, without intelligence, you're not going to be able to get anything to move. You're not going to get anything to get going. There's a subtopic that we can get into that has to do with mind and body. And the reality here is that there is no physical mechanism, as far as we're aware of, that shows where mind comes from. Now, that's a separate topic that we can get into maybe on brain evolutionists, but there's a whole area of study regarding that topic. But anyways, I mean, we can grant you that. It wouldn't really matter that there would need to be a physical body. The intelligent design argument doesn't say that there is or isn't a physical body. It's just narrowing down that one aspect of the physical that without a thinking, intelligent creator, you're not going to be able to get any sort of machine or coded information to come about through any sort of process. We're trying to account for the origin of physical bodies let me read the comment. You're trying to explain the origin of physical bodies with a product of physical bodies that's called circular reasoning. No, the reality of the situation is that living beings, all life on the planet consists of a basic unit of life. That basic unit of life consists of certain components that we all understand come from an intelligent agent. So you can call it circular reasoning, but the logical inference here would be, okay, obviously human beings were not here to make themselves, but human beings possess an attribute that is needed for humans to be built. So whatever was here before us, attributes, that's what logically follows. Again, we go back to the argument that I was bringing up earlier about not needing explanations of an explanation for an explanation to be true. It might be that we are at a point to where we do not have the capabilities of answering that question. What was the intelligence that created us? What did that intelligence consist of that created us? We might not know the answer to that, but we do know that whatever it was that made us, based on our uniform experience, it had to have that attributes of creative intelligence. Did it have a body? Well, there are neurosurgeons, and it goes back and forth in both directions. And I've actually been doing a lot of reading on this last 8 months or so. You're probably going to be hearing me bring this up a lot. So some of the Bring It Evolutionists when I'm ready to start talking about it. But basically, there's some disagreements with neurosurgeons and neurologists on whether or not there's even a mechanism that can account, a physical mechanism that can be traced to account for consciousness. The way that I gather. So you can keep on asking those questions about the designer, but again, we go right back to the issue of the universe. I mean, could it have been cyclotap-erotic pair theory? Could it have been string theory, M theory? Could it have been all these other ideas of how the universe came into existence? We don't know that, but we do know that when that time, space, matter, and energy came into existence at a certain Planck time, we can measure to a certain Planck time. We can look at the radiation afterglow in the redshift, and we can see what appears to be sort of an expansion, and it appears that things are moving away from a certain spot of the universe. There are disagreements with that, obviously, with some people who are fighting against this idea of the Big Bang. But the point being is that we might not know how the universe came into existence, but it would be nonsense to say that we can't reason within the confines of existence, right? So there might be explanations out there, or there might be answers that we can't get yet because we don't have the information available to us. But asking these questions, these additional questions that arrive from the first answer that's given, doesn't in any way, shape, or form discredit the first answer that's given. So that's the point here. Well, see, again, Christopher, you're making straw man. I mean, Christopher says, so again, do you understand now why Dawkins said that any designer would need to be naturalistic? I would agree with that. That is why intelligent design is a scientific argument, because it's making an argument based on what is totally physical and totally naturalistic. That's the point here. He did. He accepted intelligent design. He does. He denies it after he accepts it for reasons that he's included into intelligent design. So by bringing in deism, he did accept intelligent design. That's what you call denial. But if anybody listens to what he says, go to the ID website and see what they're arguing. Listen to Stephen C. Meyer, very well-known spoken proponent of intelligent design. Listen to Dembski, listen to Doug Axe, listen to any of these other people on the other side. What he said is exactly what they say. What he added is exactly what they don't say. So he does. He accepts intelligent design. Super secret side, I'm not sure. An intelligent designer would have designed evolution as a function for life to function on the planet. You see, that's the thing about that, though, Jay. There are ID proponents who accept a form of evolution as well. I don't agree with that, though, because when I see people accepting evolution, I got to ask myself, to what extent are you saying you agree with evolution, first of all? Because I think evolution is a slippery word, because I would agree evolution is a fact. Change happens. You can even get new traits that develop. But if you're going to say that you accept evolutionary theory as in common descent, where we all diverge from a common ancestor, then you're sitting over here and saying that there's actually a way for evolution to account for these systems that you're saying intelligent design is the best explanation for. So if it's the best explanation, I don't know how they divide it in their head. Okay, if common descent is actually true, is common descent actually true because a designer was involved? If a designer wasn't involved, is it that evolutionary mechanisms can build these systems on their own? So how do they differentiate what arrived from an intelligent designer or through the mechanisms of evolution? So when I hear ID proponents saying that they accept evolution, intelligent design, or intelligent design was behind the evolutionary mechanisms, you're also dealing with this issue to where they're not even agreeing with evolutionary theory as a whole, because all they're believing is creation over time. So there's a lot of problems that I have with ID proponents and creationists that accept both evolutionary theory and intelligent design. So it's not that it's impossible. It's just that I don't see how they can separate it and clarify the topic for people. It's not about admitting something is possible. I mean, like that scientist I just showed you right now, I think his name is Gunter. He accepts intelligent design. Dembski accepts intelligent design. These are active supporters of intelligent design. So we're not dealing with the issue of or maybe you're referring to Richard Dawkins, right? Obviously, you'd have to be referring to Richard Dawkins. Richard Dawkins is accepting intelligent design. We say he's open to intelligent design or playing with linguistics, but I think it's pretty clear that he's accepting intelligent design. I mean, there's another video I can show you guys. Actually, I want you guys to watch this. This is new one speak. Listen to this, guys. This is Richard Dawkins. Listen to what he says about DNA. Just going to put on screen share for you guys.
'20th century. Well, in physics, there have been several. Einstein's special and general theories of relativity, and the whole complex of advances which come under the heading of quantum mechanics. I'm not enough of a physicist to explain them or judge them, but I'm persuaded that they are of immense importance. In biology, I suppose it would have to be the double helix, the Watson and Crick discovery of the structure of DNA, which was far more than just the discovery, the crystallographic work, discovering the structure of a big molecule. Because what that led up to was a major revolution in which much of biology became a sort of branch of information.
Listen to what he says, guys.
Technology. The consequence of the Watson-Crick discovery, with all that it led on to, the DNA code and the sort of various genome projects that are going on now, is that genes, which from my point of view are absolutely central to biology, genes are information. They are coded information. It even looks like computer information. I mean, a chromosome is a great long computer tape.
Listen to what he says, guys.
It's linear, it runs one-dimensional, digital code. It's not binary, it's quaternary, but apart from that, it's just the same as computer tape. It's read in sequence. It's copied and pasted from one part of the organism to another in just the same way.
Listen, just the same way of what? Listen to him.
Way as a computer programmer would copy and paste. So biology has turned into computer science, and the sort of mystification of biology, which was still possible when people could talk about a life force, a vital fluid, things like that, essentially skyhook explanations. That's completely out. You can never hear anybody talking nonsense like that anymore. And it's all, I won't say it's all due to Watson and Crick, but it was Watson and Crick that really finally torpedoed that kind of thinking in biology. So I suppose as a biologist, I mean, I have to set the great physical discoveries on one side, important as they are, because they're not my field. In my own field, I think I'd have to say Watson and Crick 1953 is the greatest breakthrough in 20th century science. The biggest scientific breakthrough.
I'm going to go to the comments and see what you guys got to say on that. Hopefully you guys were able to deduce the implications of what he just said right there. This guy says that was an analogy for 500. I mean, you can use the word analogy to describe it, but if you listen to what he says it operates just the same way as a computer program would have programmed it, or copies and pastes just the same way a computer programmer would have copied and pasted it, and it even looks like it operates it like it. You can use that to describe it as an analogy, but don't use that word as to assume that is somehow to say that, well, it's sort of like it, but not the same thing. So the reason why, if we want to say that Richard Dawkins is open to the argument of intelligent design, it's because he understands the argument of intelligent design. He understands that what they're saying about DNA is actually correct. He just denies, because of his atheistic position, philosophical, theological implications of what this evidence may suggest. So if you're finding codes or information that is exactly what it is, well, he rejects theism or personal beliefs in God, because to him that's nonsense. He's open to deism. This is what he said in the future videos. So when you hear somebody saying analogy, you got to understand that that's not to sit over here and say, well, it's not the same thing, but vaguely comparable. I mean, you can do different definitions of analogy, but let me give you an example of what I mean by this. With the brain, you have that axon with neurons. You have the axon, and there are different complex protein machines, if you want to put it like that are along that axon, and basically it's sodium, potassium. They flood in and out of that axon. Those potassium, sodium pumps, and those different pumps that are along the axon of the neurons. And depending on whether or not you get like if you touch your skin, immediately when I touch my skin, there's a stimuli that happens, where the peripheral nervous system will send a signal to your central nervous system to process. So your brain, each one of your neurons will reach above negative 70 millivolts, and you'll reach an action potential. This is compared usually to a computer system or a computer, because it's sort of like a binary system, the way that it works and it operates. Even though this is just comparable, it's analogous to a computer system. It's not the same thing. And neurologists and neurosurgeons, they talk about this all the time. It's either permissible to compare it to a computer or not for whatever given reasons. And they're justified in critiquing people who talk about the brain as being a computer because it doesn't have the exact same components. It's just comparable by operation. It doesn't have the random access memory, CPU, or motherboard. It's just analogous to a computer. When we're talking about DNA and being a code, we're not saying it's analogous because it's vaguely comparable to it. It's because it is. It is the same thing. The only difference is that you're using different material, using the biological material, but it is coded information. It's not a matter of opinion. It's a matter of observable facts by function and pattern and operation. The same thing with the ATP synthase. You can say that it's analogous, but it's not analogous in the same way that a brain is analogous to a computer. It is literally a molecular rotary motor. That is what it is. It's not a matter of opinion. So when you guys say something like that in the comment section, well, vaguely comparable, it's analogous. Well, you can go ahead and call it analogous, but that word can be slippery, and I can see how you would like to use that word analogous, because there are different definitions of analogy, and you can mislead people to believe that, well, it's vaguely comparable, but not the same thing. And obviously, by Richard Dawkins' own description of the DNA code, he's saying that it's pretty much in a nutshell, it even looks like it operates like it. It's even copy and paste, just like a computer program would send it to copy and paste. It's not the same thing with the brain or other systems inside of life, where we say that they are analogous to some sort of system that we've developed. And moreover, even if we were to grant you what you're saying, well, it's analogous, well, there could still be an argument made. Well, okay, why is it that we're finding systems inside of life that seem to be only analogized to systems that come from creative intelligence? So even if they are just vaguely comparable, there still is an argument that can be made. But again, you're not using the word analogy in the proper way when describing DNA. So yeah. I guess I'll go with what Matt Dillahunty says. Words don't have meanings, they have usages. So I'm going to stay live for about 5 more minutes, and then I'm going to end the hangout because I don't want to make this drag on for too long. But remember, guys, on Thursdays, every Thursday, we're going to be having Theology Thursdays. And it's going to be on my main channel. We're not going to be talking about science. That is going to be for Sundays at 7 on the Bring It Evolutionist. Every Thursday. And when we talk about theology, we're going to be talking about all the implications of it too. So we'll be talking about philosophy, the moral argument, and so on and so forth. But keep your eye out on it, guys. Richard Dawkins does accept intelligent design. When I say that Richard Dawkins accepts intelligent design, he obviously puts evolution above it. He obviously puts abiogenesis above it, because as an atheist, these are ideas that are more so in line with his personal outlook of life. So yeah, he accepts intelligent design as an explanation, but he prefers other explanations over it. I don't know what you're trying to say about Tommy Hall, why I would accept that he's a serial killer. Nobody's misrepresenting Dawkins. You heard what he said. if you understand the intelligent design argument, you hear what he said, you realize that, yeah, he does accept intelligent design. That means he does accept it. I guess they're playing with this word, well, being open to it and accepting intelligent design. Well, he believes this is a good explanation. But immediately after he said, I don't know how you are going to acknowledge all the things that ID proponents are going to say or reject it based on things that you're saying and making up on spot that ID proponents don't say. So he accepts everything that they're saying as a legitimate explanation, but he's remaining open to it for reasons that he made up on spot. I mean, again, ID proponents don't say anything about it being the deistic God or theism or aliens or any of that other stuff. Those are things that he's included into the argument. Those are premises he's added to it. He's accepted and acknowledged that all those premises are legitimate explanations. Supposes that it could be this, that, or the other. I mean, what do you want to call that, though? Because we want to call that denial. You can sit over here and say, "Well, he accepts it, but he did not. He says it's possible, but but he doesn't accept it." I don't know how you would think that he's being honest with himself based on what you heard him say right there. But yeah. So again, I'm gonna end the hangout, guys. I've been on too long. This Sunday at 7 o'clock Central Daylight Time, I'm going to be having a Bring It Evolutionist on my main channel. Thursday, we're going to be having Theology Thursday, starting either this Thursday or the following Thursday. I don't know yet. So it's going to be this Thursday or the following Thursday, and we're only going to be talking about theology and things that circle around the idea of theology. If this branches off to maybe philosophical discussions or anything else that's connected to theology or our theology or your rejection of our beliefs, then we'll let it go there, except for if we get to the point of science, because I want to save the topics of science for Sundays, because we get too involved in the scientific discussion. I think it's good to keep these topics on this discussion on Thursdays to go a different route, different direction. So that's it, guys. God bless. Take it easy. And have a good night.